From the one and only Matt Morse Digital Studio, right in beautiful Fresno, California. It's the Beem and Dean Show,
yes,
episode
66.
66. I'm losing track. We've been doing it for so long.
We're on Route 66 today.
So that's a good sign that I'm losing track of how many episodes we have. It means we're entrenched here with you viewers in the Central Valley. Hey, on today's show, we got some big coaching news again. It seems like there's carnage every single Monday now, Dean, when it comes to coaching.
Carnage Monday, we'll call it. Yeah.
We're gonna come in hot with some college football playoff takes, I believe. We'll do a little contender in the NFL and in college football. If you could only make one future bet too, Dean, right now on the NFL or college, who would you take? That's coming later. We're going to talk some Bulldog football as well. And then if we have time, we'll get into some other coaching stuff. Some coaches are talking, and it's kind of interesting what they're saying, Dean. You know, I think they're pushing back. Now there's been so much carnage going on. But before we get to anything else, speaking of coaching, Brian Daboll out as the New York Giants head coach. Your immediate take is?
A little surprised because his star quarterback got knocked out via concussion, which caused their loss yesterday. I don't know. I mean, these moves, Scotty, are so fast, right? Am I wrong? They're quick to the draw.
The thing I don't understand is I'm not surprised at all that Brian Daboll is no longer the Giants head coach. I'm just surprised that he was the Giants head coach to begin this season. I'll be honest with you. I mean, so like if you're going to bring him back for this year, don't you just play out the entire year? Especially since there is a little bit of hope. We talked about it before with the Giants. Now, again, maybe they're trying to avoid what I've talked about before. Sometimes you hang on to a coach when you're 2-7, right? If you don't pull the trigger, and then suddenly they win enough games at the end of the year to kind of, give you an argument to bring them back when maybe you don't really want to have that choice to bring them back. So get rid of them now, because that way you can't, you can't ever change your mind later. But it feels like it's a reaction to the fans, because I'm sure there's just tons of noise in New York right now about it.
Yeah. And honestly, like I said, you kind of wonder maybe if they've got their eye maybe on somebody already. Like a lot of these college situations, they've got eyes already, or maybe they've actually got contracts maybe signed with somebody.
Did you see the tweet from Robert Griffin III?
No.
He said, how about Lane Kiffin as the Giants head coach?
Oh, okay.
I don't know if he has any inside info or what, but
I don't know. The bottom line, though, is we have seen, college coaches go to the NFL, some successful, some not. So we'll leave it there. Yeah,
obviously not a great tenure. Started out well for Daboll. Of course, who had success with Josh Allen and the Bills there, and then came over to New York. And, with Daniel Jones right off the bat, it was working a little bit. But they've won just 2 of their first 10 games for a 3rd straight year, Dean. So it's not really a surprise that he's out. He was only 11-33, overall. It just didn't work. They actually gave him an extra year than I thought they would. Okay. And, I mean, they're moving on, so we'll see what the Giants do.
You're right, though, really quick. Tough media market, a lot of criticism, fast to pull a trigger. I think the Jets might not be far behind. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, I'm a little surprised, like I mentioned, but I don't know if it's really a quick trigger in this case, considering I think it's year 4 for him there in New York, and they've been not good, the last couple of years. All right, well, let's switch gears, talk a little college, and come in hot, Dean.
Here we go.
Now, I know Dean would love to see an 88-team playoff in both college football and the NCAA tournament. But my coming in hot today is, Dean, here we are in early November, right? And usually in years past, in college football, before the institution of the 12-team playoff, we'd have 4 or 5 teams that were still in the national title mix. Okay, that was cool for those 4 or 5 fan bases, those 4 or 5 teams, and you might get an awesome, huge showdown of the century type of thing, 1 versus 2, where the drama would be incredible in that one regular season game.
Sure.
But it would have just been one regular season game. My argument now, Dean, is the college football playoff is working perfectly because you've got tons of games every single Saturday, including this Saturday, that are meaningful now. You look at the 4 teams tied atop the ACC, not to mention that probably 4 or 5 others still have a legitimate chance mathematically. I'd have to break down the numbers and have somebody who's smarter than me do that for me, of winning that conference title and getting into the playoff.
Right.
6 teams with 1 or 2 losses in the Big 12. My USC Trojans, who in years past with 2 losses, hey, Trojan fan base would have checked out completely. We are still checked in because we still have a shot at the playoff. We got Oregon, on the horizon, got Iowa this week. Suddenly these are big games, Dean, where in years past they wouldn't have meant anything because so many more teams are involved. Sure, you lose a little bit of that special character of the regular season, the fact that it was so important and you couldn't lose the game. But I think that is far outweighed by the fact that more teams are now playing meaningful games into November, into late November.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying it's not working, Scott. I do agree with your point. I would just love to see a couple more included into the big party at the end of the year. That's all I'm going to say. 12 teams, much better than 4. I'll completely agree with you, and it is working. But again, with the expanded TV ratings, with NIL, and a more competitive college landscape, I would love to see it go to 14 or 16 and maybe draw a line there. You and I have talked about this before. Not saying it's not working. That's just my take. Go for it.
Yeah, no, I just think it's been a great thing for college football. I think you'll see people out there who will say, the regular season is being diminished. I just don't see that in any way. I think the regular season has been elevated. I think the ratings are speaking to that. And, I just think college football, from a interest point of view, is in a great spot. There's a whole bunch of other issues, obviously, that are kind of coming to the surface with NIL and the transfer portal and all that stuff. And they still need to get all that stuff figured out a little bit, or at least try to, fix some of the things that are involved there. But I think all in all, the college football playoff has been a really good thing, and we're seeing it play out in real time for us this season.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk a little NFL then, all right? Pretenders, contenders,
okay.
All right?
Ready.
Here we are, week 10, right? So we're halfway through the regular season. I'm going to give you a list of kind of looking at it, who I think the real contenders are in each conference. Okay, so in the AFC, I think the real contenders here are the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chargers. And the way I define this, Dean, is when I sit down and think about this team, do I think they could win a Super Bowl, right? It's easy to say, hey, they're winning the division, they look great right now. But in order to win a Super Bowl, you're going to have to beat teams like the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, right? And probably do it on back-to-back weeks. And the teams that I just don't think can do that are the pretenders. And on my list, Patriots, Steelers, Colts, and Broncos. I know I'm including the Colts in there. I'm sure I would be interested to hear what your thoughts on that list there. So Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Chargers, serious contenders to win it all. They all have great quarterbacks, right? That's the one thing that kind of ties them together. Patriots, Steelers, Colts, Broncos. Not saying that, Drake May isn't somebody who's on the rise.
Right.
But, hey, they could be a playoff team, but I don't think they're a serious contender to win it all. What do you think?
Side note really quick. Remember that scene in Varsity Blues when they go out partying the night before the big game, and then they blow the game, they get their butts handed to them? Is that what happened to Buffalo in South Beach on Saturday night? What happened to the Bills was just
the NFL.
Inexplainable, though, Scotty.
Well, the NFL is unexplainable.
Yeah.
Take the Panthers. For example, last week, they go into Green Bay and they beat Green Bay. They come home.
And they lose to New Orleans.
The NFL is so wacky. And the same team can look so different from week to week. It's just, that's why whenever there are double-digit spreads in the NFL, it's almost like an automatic. You probably should just take it.
Yeah. Okay, getting back to your point. Sorry to go on a side tangent there, but yeah, I agree with all your contenders. The Bills are kind of on the borderline for me right now, and the Patriots I think would be on the borderline on the opposite way. I think Drake May is having a great year. He got off to a terrible start yesterday and then bounced back. So that was huge on the road. I do agree with the Chiefs. The AFC is going to be interesting. I'm not saying Buffalo's out of it, but that was really disappointing. Not just that they lost to Miami, but how they lost to Miami. They were just not even competitive. I mean, your thoughts?
No, I just think sometimes turnovers happen. You have a stinker. It's weird. I don't think Buffalo is a dominant football team by any means. They can look dominant in stretches, especially when Josh Allen is playing well, and especially when James Cook is running the football, when they're just kind of physically dominating teams, which we've seen a few times. That defense has always been a little bit of an issue there in Buffalo, right? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of always been the thing that people have a little bit of a question mark. And then when you're Josh Allen, you turn the ball over a few times, it's just going to, make things worse. I also think we saw it there. A team deciding to stick with a head coach, right? Mike McDaniel getting the vote of confidence at least for the remainder of the season. I think you saw a team rally around him a little bit.
I agree. And I just hope we're not talking about him next Monday.
Right. No, I mean, it's a week-to-week league, no doubt about it, so it could change. But you see a team rally around. And I'm going to have a play later in Money Plays that just speaks completely and totally to this, to the fact that like sometimes when a team gives a coach a vote of confidence, you should bet on that team that week. Sometimes when a coach gets fired, you should also bet on that team this week because there seems to be a 1 week bump in their performance level for some reason.
Gotcha.
But the big theme here, Dean, I think when I look at my contenders and when I really break this down is what quarterback do I trust to actually win important games, maybe in bad weather on the road, in December and January. And obviously Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar
picking
Jackson.
on College game day on Saturday is pretty good, huh? Patrick Mahomes.
Did he do all right?
He was in Lubbock. No, I'm just saying I'm just saying Patrick Mahomes is definitely someone you want to put a helmet on for sure.
No doubt. All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk NFC now as far as contenders and pretenders. Here's who I got on my contender list. Again, we're talking about some good quarterbacks here. Eagles.
Yep. They
Packers,
play tonight.
Rams.
Yep. Rams look great on Sunday. Yep.
And the Lions. I go 4 deep there with my contenders.
Like
I must have been on the edge or something with the Packers because I have them on both lists here now that I see I have them as a contender and a pretender.
Did you maybe forget the Seahawks? Or are they on your?
I'm going to still put the Seahawks in my contender category. And again, this doesn't mean that I don't think they're good teams, but this is just purely, do I think they can win a Super Bowl? And getting to the playoffs and winning a Super Bowl are two different things.
Sure.
Because you got to win, you got to beat good teams, on your way to the Super Bowl.
Agreed.
I mean, so much of that is going to depend on how Sam Darnold plays in those situations. And I think so much of it's going to depend as well, Dean. If the Seahawks can get the 1 seed somehow, and it has to go through Seattle, I think that's going to be a huge advantage for them.
They got a tough one this week at SoFi against the Rams.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be tough for them to get the 1 seed because I think the NFC is pretty stacked at the very top there, with the Eagles, the Rams, and the Lions specifically.
Right.
And I'm going to put the Packers in the contender category. We're going to find out a lot tonight. Eagles and Packers Monday Night Football.
Yeah,
so that one should be good. But so on my pretender list, again, I've got the Bears. I just don't trust Caleb Williams to win important playoff games, even if they get to the playoffs. The Bucks, I'm a fan of Baker Mayfield. It's just too big of a wild card there for me to see them actually getting to the Super Bowl because they're going to have to go on the road to do it.
They're just so beat up right now. Bucky Irving hasn't played in like 5 weeks, and Mike Evans hasn't played, and Chris Godwin came back for a week, and now he's gone. I mean, they're relying on Igbuka, and it's tough when it's just Baker running back there. He's running for his life. So
you're absolutely right, and that's probably the same reason to put the Niners in that category as well as
Injuries,
a pretender.
Again,
a pretender to win the Super Bowl doesn't mean they can't make the playoffs.
Sure.
All right, so college football. Let's do the same. Let's do the same routine here.
Sounds
Dean.
good.
This one's a little easier, I think, with college, right? Because it's usually the same group of contenders. But I separated them out this way. I put a tier 1 out there, Dean. I'll see what you think. Ohio State, obviously, they're a serious contender to win it all. Alabama.
Yep.
A&M.
Yep.
And then my last 2, Georgia and Notre Dame. All right, so just to let you, and then I got a tier 2 here.
Okay.
Interesting teams. Unsure, though, if they have enough. And they kind of really, haven't been there before. And I think there's something for that. Talking about Indiana here.
Yeah, they're borderline on that list. Yep, for sure.
Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And then Texas Tech, who's kind of a big wild card in my opinion.
I think they're borderline too.
They're borderline. So I'm unsure, but like if I'm unsure, I can't put them into that top tier. And I think it would surprise me if they ended up winning a national title. And again, we're talking about winning a national championship here, not just getting to the playoff. I think of those 3, Indiana, Ole Miss, and Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech is kind of the most intriguing to me, just because of what they're bringing defensively to the table.
Yeah.
Offensive question marks, I think, a little bit as far as winning a national title. I don't know if they have an explosive amount, but they've got some dudes on that defense.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you think about defense, and that's where I kind of look. And getting back really quick to NFL, I mean, the Rams, what's improved the Rams so much this year is their defense is better than it was last year. Texas Tech bought a really, really good defense. A&M bought a really, really good defense. I mean, I'm using NIL, but let's face it, both of those teams' defenses are really, really stout. What Texas Tech did to BYU to confuse them for 3 quarters was just phenomenal. What A&M did, these last few weeks, winning at Notre Dame, winning at Missouri, those aren't easy places, and playing in the SEC week in, week out. I really like their chances. So I like your list. I think it's good. Obviously, Ohio State, they still have a couple of tough ones. They got to go to Ann Arbor. Who else did you have? You had Ole Miss. You said Ole Miss just playing in the SEC week in, week out. It's going to be a challenge.
Well, I have a tier 3.
They had the Egg Bowl still against Mississippi State.
I have a tier 3 too, which I put in parentheses, just don't see it happening. As far as winning a national title, I put Oregon on that list. For some reason, I think Oregon is just missing something as far as being a serious national title contender. I like their quarterback a lot, Dante Moore. I haven't seen a ton of them, but it just feels like they haven't really been playing dominating football at any point this year.
They don't have the offensive firepower, Scott, that they've had in the past. They do not have a dominant running game. They do not have a marquee wide receiver. They have a good quarterback, but I mean, the fact is they can't score points in bunches, and I think that's what's going to get them in trouble.
Yeah, especially when you go up.
Their defense is very good, and they have the best kicker probably in football.
Okay, especially when you go up against some of these heavyweights, right? They're going to be, they're going to be a lower seed more than likely because they're not going to win the Big Ten. So they're probably going to be looking at a possible road game in the first round of the playoff as well. Also on the don't see it happening, Texas. They've kind of late season resurgence here, but it just doesn't seem like there's enough there, and Arch has been too up and down. I'm going to put my Trojans on the list. It's just not enough there defensively, I think, because you're going to have to beat teams like Alabama and Notre Dame on back-to-back weeks. And, a team like Notre Dame, I put them in the serious list of contenders just because of how physical they are. Yeah. And they can run the football. And then my final don't see it happening there is Georgia Tech. I know you love Haynes King.
Yeah,
you
I do love Haynes King. I do.
But I just don't think they have enough. I mean, if you're going to go into NC State and not be able to win that game, it's going to be really hard to win.
So Miami's not even in your tier 3? I got to keep Kevin Mahan off your back. I got to watch out for him. Where is he?
Doesn't Miami have 3 losses? I mean, are they even going to get in the playoff at this? Do they have 3 losses?
They have 2.
They have 2 losses?
I think they have 2, yeah.
Okay, they're on the outside looking in, though, right now, as far as the playoff rankings. By the way, so one more thing. I got a sleeper here.
Sure.
My sleeper, Utah.
Yeah. Still good. Still good. I mean, I never count Kyle Whittingham out of anything.
Would Miami be your sleeper?
Probably, because I mean, I still believe in Carson Beck, and I think their schedule's not super difficult. You look at some of these teams that you've mentioned, their schedules aren't super difficult down the stretch, as opposed to some of these SEC teams. You look at USC, really one more tough hurdle at Oregon.
Iowa's pretty tough this week, too.
Yeah, we'll see. It's at the Coliseum, though, so that's a big difference. But some of these SEC teams, it's just week in, week out.
Yeah.
You're just A&M still has Texas, in that rivalry. You got your rivalry games coming up, so we'll see. But good list. I like it.
All right, so you can make one future bet now. All right, this is the next exercise here.
I'm ready.
NFL and college. Okay. And again, this is not who you think's going to win it all. It's based on value, right? Okay. So I took a look at the odds for this, and I don't know if you took a look or glanced at all. What do you want to start with, NFL or college?
Whatever you want.
All right, let's go NFL first. All right, so I took a look at it, and I can't really take I think the Chiefs were the favorite. The Bills were also in single digits there as well. I got close to double digits. I'm getting the defending Super Bowl champs. I'm getting a team that could still get the 1 seed in the NFC. That's not easy place to play when you go on the road and go to Philadelphia. They've proven they can do it before. Okay. All those clues should tell you that I'm going with the Eagles at 9-1 at this point. I think they offer the best value. I think the Rams were even
7-1.
7-1.
They were.
So the Eagles are not the NFC favorite to win the Super Bowl at this point. So I'm going 9-1 on the Eagles. Who you got, Dean?
Give me your tier 2 Seattle Seahawks at 9-1. I mean, honestly, I like them defensively, especially. I think defense wins championships. I don't know if you saw yesterday. They scored 2 touchdowns almost identical in that game. Both strip sack, fumble recoveries, and I had them in my fantasy league. So
yeah, I dropped them. I dropped them in our. By the way, I wasn't going to bring that up.
No, we can bring it up real quick.
But since you brought it up,
do you want to go over what the current score is between Bemis's Best and the East McKinley Avenue Blues?
We don't have to get too much into this, but I think I'm beating you by like 80 points.
Scott put up a record 165 points this week, and I think he still might have one guy left going, and the East McKinley Avenue Blues team
feeling the blues.
Already feeling the blues with the white flag. Scotty's also up 7 games on Angelique Dillon and myself for the pick'em. So I got to give my man his props and his just due, man. You're doing a great job there. So
give me a ton of props because I'm now the best 3-7 fantasy football team that exists in the country.
Well, you had everyone was at full cylinder yesterday, man.
Yeah,
I couldn't
working.
Skip a beat with you at all.
It was working for me.
But yeah, give me the Seahawks.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I think running game, offensive line, defense, Sam Darnold serviceable enough. Reminds me kind of the 2000-ish. Baltimore Ravens with our own Trent Dilfer at quarterback.
Okay.
So good enough.
The only reason that I would probably lean Eagles like over the Seahawks at the same number there, 9-1, is that I do think the Eagles' road to getting the 1 seed is going to be significantly easier. Just considering that the Seahawks are in the NFC West, play the Rams.
Play the Rams twice.
I don't have they played the Niners already?
Once,
I'm not
I believe.
sure. Okay.
Yeah.
And so the Eagles, meantime, the NFC East is kind of falling off a little bit.
Especially
in
with
recent weeks.
no Daniels and the Cowboys 50-50 on
Yeah.
what you're going to get. Sure.
All right, to the college game now. We can only make one future bet for value here.
You got it.
On college football to win it all at this point in the season. I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs at 11-1. You can get double digit on Georgia at this point. Man, you consider the pedigree of that team. I mean, you're only getting, I think, like 5, 6, or 7-1, something like that with Alabama and some of the, A&M. But if I can get double digits on Georgia at this point with a very solid quarterback, someone who's in the Heisman conversation, Gunnar Stockton. Their defense has been a little bit of a question mark there, but they've still got some nice wins this year.
Yeah, they do.
And they got a couple difficult games still left.
That's the only reason why I didn't take them, Scott. They still have Texas and Georgia Tech on the schedule.
Do, but consider this: you take them at 11-1. They got one loss. They can still take another loss.
That's true. They could.
And possibly get into the playoff. Plus, if they win out, they're sitting in that 5 spot in the playoff rankings.
Yeah.
They could easily move into the top 4 and get a first-round bye in the playoff. And so, if I'm getting Georgia at double digits, I'm taking it.
Okay, good. I'm going to value bet it too. Not as good as you did, but again, I'm going to go with a team that normally finishes 8-4 every year. This year, they're undefeated. Give me Texas A&M at 7.5-1.
Okay.
I wish it was a little higher. I'm not going to lie. I would have loved it to be 9. I'm sure we probably could have got it at like 15 or 20 if we would have done it earlier this year when you went to Kansas for the Dogs versus the Jayhawks. But I just think defensively, again, they're stacked. Who's going to run the ball against them? Tough road still in the SEC, but they're hopefully going to get a bye, and they only have to win 2 playoff games basically to get there. So give me A&M at 7.5-1.
Okay, I can buy into that. I can buy into that. By the way, I do have Notre Dame, a ticket on Notre Dame. I think early in the season. So Notre Dame is down, I think, in single digits now as well.
And their road to the playoff is pretty much locked at this point.
So I hope you followed my advice when I said take them at like 28-1, at that point to win the national championship.
We might be patting you on the back when we get to our January show. You never know.
They still got to win it all. They still got to get through the through the path there to win it all. All right, let's talk some Fresno State football.
Yeah, really quick. We got about 8 minutes left in the show.
All right, so the Dogs host Wyoming this week. Kind of a jumbled up Mountain West now. 2 teams with 1 loss in the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Boise State and San Diego State. They play each other this week. Fresno State's sitting there with 2 losses. So a couple weeks ago before that Boise State game, we were kind of in panic mode thinking, what's going on here? Sure. Things aren't looking great. Now suddenly they're back in the conference title hunt.
Yeah.
Got 2 home games here on the horizon before finishing at San Jose State.
Sure.
The Dogs are a legitimate Mountain West contender again. I mean, it's a lot of tie-breaking scenarios and things could come into play. But when you look at this team, do you think they're capable of winning a conference title?
Well, first I want to congratulate Fresno State on getting one of the biggest biggest wins of last weekend. Because honestly, that Hawaii drubbing of San Diego State gave them the life back to get back into this race, in my opinion. I really feel like that changed the whole landscape, and looking at their schedule the rest of the way with 2 home games against Wyoming and Utah State and a road game against a San Jose State team that doesn't look as ominous after losing at home to Air Force. So that's your 3 games left. So I really think Fresno State was one of the big winners this last weekend, even without even playing a game. I think the Mountain West is going to be really exciting coming down the stretch here. I think, obviously, like you said, Boise and San Diego State play this weekend, so that will be a 2-loss there. Possibly a 3-loss, right? Or no, does Boise only have 1 loss?
Boise only has the 1 loss.
Got it.
To the
so
Dogs.
That'll be a 2nd loss. And then, with all these tiebreaker scenarios, we don't know how it's going to work out, but I think the main question with Fresno State is, are they going to be able to win games with a quarterback that can't throw for more than 100 yards? And that's the question I kind of posed to you.
Well, the only thing I'll say to this is I think it's going to be difficult. I think eventually you're going to have to get some production, through the air to win some games. The schedule isn't too difficult, though, down the stretch, although Utah State's a little better than people are giving them credit for. And Fresno State's only favored by 3.5 this week against Wyoming, which
that's stunning.
It shows you the odds makers how they have Fresno State power rated at this point, not too high, and then finishing at San Jose State, who's kind of fallen off a little bit, but still has a very talented quarterback who can throw for a ton of yards.
Yep. Rivalry game.
Eventually, you've got to score some points. I mean, you got to be able to move the ball a little bit through the air. We'll see what happens here after another bye week for Carson Conklin.
Yep.
According to Matt Entz, he likes what he's seeing out of Conklin. Apparently, he spent like an extra hour and a half studying tape the other night. You know, not saying that's going to translate to him necessarily playing better on the field, but it's good to see a young man kind of embracing the role and putting in the time and the work that's required. And I'm sure that'll go a long way with his teammates as well. And so I'm not sure if Fresno State looks the part of a Mountain West championship team, but I think the way the conference is stacked up this season, it's kind of anybody's ball game. And so they're just one of those 6 or 7 teams that's in the mix.
But like college football, I mean, imagine 2 weeks ago, we were burying them. You know, we come to bury Caesar, not to praise him, right? And then now all of a sudden, they've got life. They go to Boise and trounce them, and now they've got a serious chance to be there, to win it.
And you know what? Fresno State might be included in money plays. Let's get to it.
Let's do it.
All right, I'm stepping onto the tee box first, like always here.
Your Honor. And this is his first play of November, so stand by.
You mentioned that Fresno State won over the weekend by not playing.
Yes.
Well, I won again by not playing because I'm in the lead because I had no plays and I forgot to set my alarm clock for last week.
Dean took a triple bogey on 18. We'll just say if we're going to use our tee box. But Scotty, you're up. Go for it. You got five plays.
And I'm taking another page out of the Dean Shiro parlay handbook here. Going with a few parlays here.
I like it
this week. So I'm going with the old money line parlay. Cincinnati there against Arizona at home. Since he's coming off a bye week after getting drubbed by Utah, I think they'll bounce back after being kind of embarrassed, you know, on national TV there. And then, like I mentioned, the Dogs, you only have to lay 180 on the money line versus Wyoming at home. You know, I usually stay away from Bulldog games because I'm a little bit biased and I feel like I'm not always thinking. But in this case, this just feels like all I need here is for the Dogs to win at home over Wyoming.
This is what this venue's for right here.
Yeah, so 2-team money line parlay, 3-team money liner here. A lot of Mountain West mixed in here this week.
And a little SEC sprinkle at the end.
Yeah, I'm betting against bad teams or teams that I feel are kind of reeling at this point.
Oh, man.
So New Mexico money line there against Colorado State. Colorado State kind of feels like they're just playing out the string.
Bad Colorado State.
Nevada, the same. They got blown out at Utah State last week. San Jose State still has a morsel to play for.
They do.
Because they need 2 wins or 3 wins to get bowl eligible. So they might still have one last effort left in them. And then Florida feels like they're kind of a reeling football team. So I'm going to grab Ole Miss there. I'm going to lay a little bit of a minus price there on that money line. And then Air Force. Air Force has been playing a lot better football of late. They have to travel across the country to UConn. Weird travel spot.
Who just won a huge game this last weekend.
Anybody else, I think it would affect them more. A normal college kid. UConn had a big win. I think UConn's like 7-3, Dean, or something. That's the most random win total I saw the other day when I was looking at the standings. Anyways, Air Force, hey, they're our country's finest, right? They won't be affected by a long trip east, so take the Falcons there. Then a couple of NFL plays. The Brian Dable gets fired effect there in play for the Giants. They'll rally for at least 1 week. And alternate line on the Chiefs.
All right, this is what I did last week. Nothing really to look at. 1 for 9, but I did hit a parlay that saved me. I'm down $100, so I got 6 plays all between Monday and Wednesday. Give me Eagles Packers over 45.5 tonight. I've got a basketball parlay there. I've got a couple of NCAA basketball parlays. Again, the main thing, I like Iowa State tonight. -5.5 against Mississippi State, and then UConn playing Columbia -32.5. I got an NHL parlay, and then I've got a $10 football parlay for this week. It's all MAC. The MAC is the dominant weekday plays. Akron -5.5 against Kent State. Ohio -1.5 against Western Michigan, and give me over 43.5 in Buffalo and Central Michigan. 15 seconds, Scott.
If there's one thing I've learned about Dean Shiro, he always bets against Southeast Louisiana on the hardwood. Hey, Dean, that was fun. Hopefully we're a little more profitable this week, but I'm glad to be in the lead by not betting. We'll see you next time.